So what's your plan? How are you going to feed yourself a year after society falls? Meow, I'm Huples cat. One of the perennial seasonal things that people talk about on preparedness channels is emergency food stocks. I'm going to show some of the food stocks that I have, and I'll tell you why I have them. And I'm also going to give you a warning. Dakota Preparedness recently did a video. He reviewed an emergency preparedness food box.
Okay, this is a food review. It's Augason Farms emergency food supply for 48 hours for 4-person kit, 5 meal varieties.
It's a good video, but I don't support that type of prepping. The calories per person was about 1,200 per person a day, which is insufficient. The food isn't very healthy, and it's really expensive. Just to mention again, if you're having to travel a long way in difficult conditions, one of the best foods you can take with you, if you're not allergic, are these. Why? This whole packet is 4,080 calories. Well enough calories for one person for one day doing quite a lot of physical labour. It's also got quite a bit of salt, so you're going to have to drink a lot of water. But Huples, my body's a temple. Okay, what about these? Take a pack of dates with you. 927 calories of nutrition in this bag. Or you could take something like this. This is 920 calories in the bag. But if it's a true bug out or a true get home scenario, a few of these is more than enough. I don't know about you, but I carry enough fat on me to do okay for 2 to 3 days without eating anything. 230 calories in this, 260 calories in this. Your biggest problem on a bug out is going to be water, hydration, clean water hydration. That's something you need to think about. And a bottled water filter is probably the way to go with that, providing you have adequate water sources. But let's get into the meat and bones of this. If you label anything vegan, some people are going to pay a lot of money for it, and some people are not going to even touch it. But that's a mistake for preparedness. This is vegan dark chocolate. This is 210 calories. This will last literally almost forever. It will eventually go white, just scrape the white off and you can still eat it. It will of course melt, so it's not great for a bug out food, but it's good for an emergency source of calories. There is a milk version, MYLK, and that's the same calorie count, 210. This is Cadbury's plant with almonds, 517 calories. Hershey's vegan chocolate bar, 480 calories. You can of course go a bit upscale. Hazelnut is 567 calories. Salted caramel is 533 calories. As an aside, me and Kitty are going to do a taste test on these and we'll decide which is the best chocolate for vegans that's available from the selection that we have. Okay, so that's the bug out segment completed. What about storing food? You can buy these commercial buckets, you just have to add water. They tend to have a lot of milk solids in them and they tend to have an awful lot of sodium and they're not actually that healthy. And I would argue most of them are undercaloried for what you're going to need in any disaster situation. For an upcoming video, we're also going to do a taste test on mac and cheese. Vegan mac and cheese. Once you've added water and cooked it, this is 640 calories. This is 620 calories. Alfredo tasting, 860 calories. I prefer cheddar, 880 calories. And yes, we're going to do a taste test on them as well. I've had some of them before and I really don't like it. Kitty does an absolutely fabulous vegan mac and cheese. I'm not really sure these cut it, but we'll see when we do the taste test. But you can't live off calories alone. You actually need nutrition. So what are you going to store for this? Are you going to spend $200 to $300 every month buying a bucket of food that you just put away for 20 years and hope you never have to use it because the food's going to be intolerable if you eat it for any length of time? Well, I do like camping foods, but I've avoided them for this video. They're very expensive and I use them for camping and hiking, so I actually have quite a bit of them. What I basically recommend is bulking up your own pantry and having hard goods and knowing how to cook and knowing how to cook in a disaster so you can actually make nutrition. Of course, you're going to have to garden as well, and sprouting seeds is a good idea. What about an emergency stock of food? Uncle Ben's brown and red rice, 420 calories a packet. Long grain and wild rice, 390 calories a packet. But you've got to read the labels. This is not vegan. It does everything it can to look vegan, but they've shoved milk solids into it. So I won't be using it in the near future, but it will go into my food stocks. But hold on, Huples, they won't last 20 years. Correct. These packets last between 2 to 5 years after their expiry date. And grid down, I would eat these 10 years after their expiry date, but I would cook them very well. And they're not going to taste as great, and the texture is going to be kind of off. I'm sheltering at home because there's been a horrible nuclear war. I want some variety in my diet. Mexican. 360 calories a packet. Now you can of course just store your own rice and a bunch of spices and make your own stuff. It's not that hard. The thing is, these are only about $3 Canadian a packet if you buy them carefully, which I have, and they're extremely convenient. Basmati rice, 420 calories a packet. It doesn't take much to figure out that you can use these on your camping trips and rotate them that way. You can also use them every day. You can use them in your own cooking. People do. People are pretty lazy. Kitty never uses stuff like this. She always makes all her rice dishes up from scratch and adds her own spicing and vegetables. That's the way to go day to day. But in a disaster, you want quick, convenient nutrition with high calorie count. If you still have propane, you don't want to be cooking complicated meals. You can have better things to do, like gathering wood and growing crops, a whole bunch of things you're going to have to do in a major disaster if civilization falls. Now, I don't know about you, but I find potatoes and peas in a curry sauce very delicious, and Kitty makes these again from scratch all the time. This one is 100% vegetarian and truly natural. All of the claims on all boxes that you get are usually lies. You have to read the labels. It's not vegetarian, it's vegan. This is probably about 300 to 400 calories. Again, spinach dal. Just heat this. You can heat this putting it next to your body all day and letting it heat under your clothing, or you can pop it in some boiling water, or you can leave it in the sun under a piece of glass. There's lots of things you can do to heat this up, and you can eat it cold. So what's your plan? How are you going to feed yourself a year after society falls? How are you going to feed yourself 2 days after there's a major disaster in your area and you have no utilities? Do you have food that you can open up, cook and eat that's nutritious, calorie dense and nutrition dense? Or do you just have plastic buckets full of milk solids and chemicals that you're going to pour hot water into if you figure out how to get hot water and hope for the best? I hope this gives you some ideas. You don't have to be vegan, but it will help your preparedness and it will help your lifestyle. Of course, you don't have to be vegan to be into preparedness, but it helps. And in a major ongoing disaster, yes, I will try and eat eggs and milk and meat if I can get it, and I definitely will go for fish. But in the here and now, I'm eating a diet that I find good for me, tasty, and very convenient. There is no need and there is no reason to buy prepared foods, dehydrated foods online from stores that are selling you stuff to make profit that are laced with chemicals and milk solids. It's really not good for you. There's a reason Americans and Canadians are so fat and have such high levels of diabetes and cardiac disease and cancer. And the reason is what they eat. Dense fats and stuff like this are not the greatest thing for you. And yes, there are fats in coconut, and coconut is heavily used in a lot of vegan products, but it's easy to avoid that and it's easy to limit that. It's not easy to avoid meat fats, which causes cholesterol to be produced in the human body, nor is it easy to avoid the fats and the chemicals that are in dairy. Spare a thought for your preparedness. Shop at the grocery store. It's cheaper, it's easier, you buy stuff you want. I wouldn't be eating a tin of prepared meat every day in a disaster. It's really not a great idea in the here and now. And in a disaster, whatever you can do nutritionally to give yourself an edge, you really should be seriously considering. Well, that's it from me and the Sleeping Terrier. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving me a subscription or sharing it online widely. If you can't do that, send me your firstborn child and I will freeze dry them and store them for food in a disaster. Have a great day. Think seriously about what you're eating. What you're eating literally becomes what you are. Doodles. This video has been brought to you by Wolfie Terrier. Meal ready to go.